What's going on, leaders? It's your boy Sinatra here. We're going to be doing the next round of predictions for who we think is going to make it to the quarterfinals in the World Cup. So without further ado, let's get the video started. All right, so before we predict who we think is going to advance to the quarterfinals of the tournament, we do have to look at our predictions that we made in the last video. We did our set of predictions after the Paraguay versus Germany game. That one did end with Paraguay winning, and it was after the Canada and South Africa game. So we didn't predict those, but we would have predicted Canada, and then I'm honestly not too sure who we would have picked for Germany, Paraguay. Probably Germany, though, if I'm being honest. We did predict France to beat Sweden, and they absolutely demolished them. As we assumed that was going to happen based on the ass whooping that the Netherlands gave them. The next game, we were actually correct predicting Morocco to win and beat the Netherlands, even though at the time of making the video, the Netherlands was 1-0 up against Morocco. We kind of lost hope, but eventually Morocco was able to turn it around in penalties. Next, Portugal and Croatia. We did predict Portugal to win, and Ronaldo is hinting at this is going to be his last World Cup, so if you see some favoritism thrown his way, we're going to get into that later on in the video. Spain beating Austria, absolutely demolished them. Oyarzabal has been killing the game recently, if I would say. Him and Cucurella, obviously Lamine Yamal is fantastic as well. Oyarzabal has been having a great tournament. If Spain goes far, I wouldn't be surprised if he wouldn't get the Golden Boot. You got Messi and Mbappe. But so far, we got nothing wrong, right? Because again, we didn't predict the Germany-Paraguay games that already happened, and the Canada and South Africa game already happened. Next, the USA versus Bosnia. We had predicted the USA to win. Obviously the host nation. Put a bet on Balogun to score, and he did. Sad case that he got sent off with the red card, which I think was absolutely bullshit. I'm not going to lie. I do not agree with that one bit. You can clearly tell it wasn't an intentional act, and I really hope that he plays the next game, as we will talk about that and what that means for Belgium versus USA. So this is the first one we lost, right? We did predict Senegal to beat Belgium, which they were beating them, I believe, up until the 85th minute, 2-0. And then Romelu Lukaku and Yuri Tillemans tied it up, and then Yuri Tillemans scored the penalty in the extra time to win the game. So I would give us half a point for that, just because, Senegal basically won the game. I mean, they just got really unlucky, and Belgium got lucky. So we got one wrong so far. But let's look at Brazil versus Japan. We did predict Brazil to win. Shout out Gabriel Martinelli. Yeah, Martinelli scored in the 90th plus 5th minute, which was absolutely nuts. I believe Japan was winning the game initially, and Brazil found a way to come back. Again, we got that one right. Norway versus Cote d'Ivoire. We had Norway going pretty far this tournament, and we'll talk about that in the next round. But yeah, Erling Haaland to score. We put a bet in for him to score 2. It didn't work out, but yeah, obviously, Norway winning that game was no surprise to anybody. But it was a close game. Next, you got Mexico and Ecuador. Mexico scored both goals really close to each other. I think it was the 22nd and 31st minute. Raul Jimenez and Quinones. Yeah, I mean, you're playing Mexico in Mexico City. There was more people at that game than there was at the Knicks celebration for when they won the NBA championship, which is nuts. I believe 2 million people were in New York for that. And then Mexico City was about 3 million people. So it was insane. England versus the DR Congo. That was another one that kind of threw me off. I knew DR Congo was going to be a good team, but seeing the way that England played against Ghana, wasn't too sure I was going to pan out for them. And they were losing the game after DR Congo scored in the 7th minute. England scored both goals, Harry Kane, by him, in the 75th and the 86th minute to win the game and move on and advance in the tournament, which is nuts. Argentina versus Cabo Verde. Very, very tight game, surprisingly. Messi scored, I believe, in the first half. Messi scored in the 29th minute. Cabo Verde then tied it up. And then in the extra time, Martinez scored a goal to make it 2-1. and then they scored a goal in the 103rd minute, and then Cabo Verde gave up an own goal in the 111th minute. This game was absolutely bonkers, and that goal by Cabral in the 103rd minute was an absolute beauty. I'm gonna put it in a video of that goal because that goal was absolutely amazing. Yeah, you saw Argentina moving on. I really wanted that game to go to penalties, but that's just not what's written in the stars. So Argentina's moving on, and then we did predict Argentina. Why didn't you say we predicted? All right, so for Mexico we got that right. For England we got that right. Argentina we got that right. So far we only have one wrong on our prediction, and that was Senegal losing to Belgium, which is some BS. I'm gonna have to give us half a point for that at least. Australia versus Egypt. That was a really tight game as well. Egypt actually gave up an own goal, which is why that game ended 1-1. And it went to penalties, and Australia missed their first two penalties, so that hindered them. And Egypt actually won by only scoring 4 penalties, so good for them. Predicted Egypt to win as well. Switzerland versus Algeria. We did predict Switzerland to win. That's what they went ahead and did, 2-0. Next game, the final game of the round of 32, you had Colombia versus Ghana, and this is the second one that we got wrong. We did predict Ghana to win, but unfortunately Colombia did move on. Pretty one-sided performance if you look at this. Yeah. And I thought, their team on paper, Ghana, is very good. So I thought that they really had a chance, but, unfortunately for them, that wasn't the case. All right, so now let's get into our predictions of who we think is going to advance into the quarterfinal. Paraguay versus France. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and give that to France. They are playing today on the 4th of July at 5 o'clock. So I would predict France to win. I think France is going to win the whole tournament, as I've been saying this whole time. So, yeah, definitely have France to advance and play Morocco. As we can see, they just won. I was trying to watch it on my phone, but I got too locked in. Sad to see Canada go out. They are a host nation, but, I'm very surprised they even got to winning the first game of the round of 32. So it's a valiant effort for Canada. And not winning a single World Cup game up until this year and making it to the round of 16 is pretty impressive in and of itself for a nation to be qualifying in the World Cup. So that's great to see. Happy for Canadians, but I'm proud to be an American. Happy 4th of July 250 bye. So that would be France Morocco. That's going to be a great game. We'll talk about that in our semifinal predictions. But yeah, it should be all defense versus all offense. It's gonna be fun. It's like Arsenal and PSG in the Champions League. I'm getting flashbacks. All right, and then you got Portugal versus Spain. Honestly, and this is me being very honest, as I stated previously, Ronaldo was hinting that this is his last World Cup. I think the best thing for FIFA, for the sport, for the age that these players are, Ronaldo versus Messi World Cup final would do millions. In the US, oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be spectacular. I think that's what they're going to push for. I think you'll see some decisions made against Spain that shouldn't be made. I want Spain to win, but you heard it here, Sinatra saying it first. Probably not the first one to say it. Give me Portugal over Spain. I know it's crazy. I'm not a Ronaldo fanboy, I swear, but I've seen this story before, right? Where a league kind of caters towards the last hurrah, the last showdown. We kind of saw it in the last World Cup. We thought that was going to be Messi's last World Cup. It wasn't, and he's doing even better this year. So I think Portugal can do it. I don't not like the way they've been playing. I think it's sloppy, but this might be the year. I think this might be the year. Next, you got USA versus Belgium. I am going to go ahead and this is a hard one, right? Because Belgium showed so much resilience in that game versus Senegal to come back and win, which is the type of resilience you need to see when facing a host nation, especially in the round of 16 of the World Cup. So that doesn't help what I'm about to say, and maybe it's because I'm feeling extra patriotic and it's the 250th birthday of the United States of America. It's going to stink that the U.S. is not going to have Balogun for this game, as he avoids a multi-game ban, but for that red card, he's still going to miss the game versus Belgium, which is not good news. But I think this is where you see our other players shine. as you saw Malik Tillman, step up and score that huge free kick for the United States. So with Balo going out, I believe that will put this now Reina's more is back more. So Pepe would be the striker. Maybe this is the boost that Pepe needs. And Pepe's not a bad striker either. So plus, I'm not going to say Belgium's going to beat the USA on the 4th of July. That's uber disrespectful. Next, we got Norway and Brazil. That's going to be a really good game. When is that? Sunday at 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. That is going to be besides Portugal and Spain. That's probably going to be the best game. I think that's Brazil and Norway is very evenly matched. I don't know. That's going to be a hard one. Give me Brazil. I don't really want to say Brazil because Erling Haaland is such a beast, but I think Brazil finds a way to make it out. So give me Brazil. And then you got Mexico versus England. I'm gonna have to go with Mexico, right? Because again, believe they're playing this game as well versus England in Mexico City. There's gonna be even more people than the last game. And England have just not been looking good. I mean, they had to rely on Harry Kane to get those 2 goals in the last 15 minutes of the game just to beat the DR Congo. Now you're coming up against Mexico, who's, people are saying they're having their best team in World Cup history at this tournament. I'm going to have to go with Mexico. And these predictions could be so wrong, but yeah, give me Mexico to advance against England. I just don't like the way that England is playing right now. I think Thomas Tuchel needs to torque it up because it's just not hitting the ground running as we expected. Then you got Argentina versus Egypt. I mean, you have to go Argentina. I don't see Egypt knocking them out. Not 100% healthy Mohamed Salah either. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Marmoush scores. He hasn't scored a goal this tournament, I don't think. Well, he might have scored one. But yeah, the Messi magic is running rampant. So give me Argentina to advance to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. And then probably the worst game, if you don't count Morocco and Canada. Of the round of 16, you got Switzerland and Colombia. After seeing Colombia's performance against Ghana, I'm going to have to go with Colombia to beat Switzerland. So that means the matches we think are going to transpire in the quarterfinals of the World Cup is going to be France versus Morocco. Well, obviously Morocco, because they already won. Portugal and Spain, we're going to have to go. We said Portugal, right? We think they're going to show some favoritism to Ronaldo. Portugal versus the U.S. That sounds good to me. Brazil versus Mexico. And Argentina versus Colombia. That is who we think is going to be playing in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. All right. Well, all right, leaders. That's been the video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. And who do you guys think we got something wrong? Do you guys think that we're bugging with some of these predictions? Like, just let me know. Leave a comment down below. What would you change? What would you have different? Do you see somebody scoring that a lot of people don't? Any unexpected results? Let us know in the comments down below. Like the video, follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We appreciate y'all. Happy birthday to United States of America, the 250th birthday to Miss America. And yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. Sinatra out.